Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial we'll learn how to draft a short pant, and I'll make it as simple as possible so that everyone can understand. The only difference between this and a long pant is there is no leg. It's basically the same thing if you want to draft a long pant or a long trouser. These are the measurements that we will need. We need a waist, our hip length, our rise, and our drop. The drop is the difference between your hip and your waist, and we need this drop to calculate our dart width. Now the rise is your crotch length. Most times it's like 3.5 inches below the hip length, although it depends on the type of trouser or pants one is sewing. If it is a fitted pants like leggings, the crotch length will be less, and if it is a baggy pants, a baggy trouser, the crotch length will increase. But basically 3.5 inches below the hip length, it's okay, and it can be measured directly on the client also. And the way to go about it is to ask your client to sit on a hard surface like this. Then you measure from the waist to the hard surface. That is your crotch depth. Also, you can divide the hip circumference by 4. Then you add 1.5 or 2 inches to your answer. If the hip circumference is 40, you divide by 4, that is 10. Then you add 1.5 inches or 2 inches to it to get your crotch depth. To calculate the front dart intake, I'll multiply my drop, that is the difference between the hip and the waist, by 8%, and the answer it will give me 3/4. That is what will be the front dart intake, and for the back it will be the drop multiplied by 16%, and it will give me 1/4 of an inch. So that is the back dart intake. So these are the measurements we use: waist 35, hip 43, hip length is 8, the rise is 11.5, front dart is 3/4, and back dart is 1/4. And I must say that the original hip of this person is 42, but I added 1 to make it 43 for his. So for this pattern we are using 1 inch on the hip for his, and I did not add his on the waist or any other part, just on the hip. So the first thing is to draw. This is my pattern paper, and we'll start to draft the pattern. The first thing is to draw a box, like a rectangle. So the upper part will be my hip divided by 4. So since we are using 43, that is 43 divided by 4, that is the length of that mark, of that line that I just drew. And at this part it will be my rise. The rise we are working with is 11.5 from the measurements, so I will mark 11.5 and draw a straight line, and then I will draw the other lines so that I will have a box eventually, like a rectangle. After drawing the box, the next thing is to, from the waistline, mark my hip line, which in this case is 8 inches. So I'll mark a line that is my hip line. And since we are drafting a short, so I will go down 3 inches from the rise line. From the crotch line, I'll go down 3 inches, which will now stand as my hem line. So I'll just draw a straight line, which is now the hem line. But if you are drafting a longer trouser, then your hem line will go down more, maybe about it depends on the length of your trouser now. But since this is a short trouser, the hem line is just 3 inches below the crotch line. So the upper line is the waistline, and that's the hip line, the crotch line, and the hem line. That is my center front, and the other side is the side seam. I will extend the crotch line from the center front by hip divided by 16, and depending on the body shape, you can add or subtract 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. It depends on the shape of the person. You can add or reduce these measurements. So after marking the crotch extension like this, then you measure the crotch line and divide it into 2. You divide whatever you have here by 2, and you mark that point. And from that point, you draw a perpendicular line, that is a straight line upward. And this is the line that divides your pattern or your shorts, your trouser, into 2 equal parts. I must say that we are drafting the front. This part we are drafting is the front of the trouser. You draft the front first. The next measurement we'll take is work on the waistline. We'll divide our waist by 4 and add the front dart. If you look at the calculation we made, we already have the dart width. So we'll add the dart width, and from that mark we'll draw our curve. The curve will connect that part to the hip line. So on the waistline, you divide your waist by 4, add your dart width, that is if your trouser or your pants will have a dart, you add it and you connect it to your hip line. If you see that this line you just drew, this curved line is too curvy and you're not comfortable with it, then you can adjust it. You adjust it towards the center seam. You can add 1/4 of an inch or even half an inch towards the center seam, and at that point, this point, you adjust it, you move it a little towards that side by 1/4 of an inch or maximum half of an inch. Then if you move it at that point, then at this center front, then you move your center front inward by either 1/4 or half an inch, and you redraw your center line like this. You only do this if your side seam, if your curve is too curvy. But for the measurements I'm using, I think I like the shape I have, so I will not be doing this adjustment. I won't be doing these adjustments. I'm okay with the shape. So let's continue. From the waistline, I'll come down by either 1/4 of an inch or half an inch, depending on what you want to achieve. You can come down by 1/4 of an inch or half an inch. is just to make the center front of your pants hold well, to give it a nice curvy shape. So you join that line to your side seam like this. Then after that, let's input our dart. Your dart leg will be half of you measure your waistline to your hip line, half of it, then you come up by 3/4 of an inch, that is 3/4. You come up by 3/4, and you divide your dart width on both sides of that line. For example, if your dart width is 1 inch, then on the right side you mark half an inch, on the left side you mark half an inch, and then you connect it to the point you marked earlier. So you just connect your dart leg like this, and at the upper part you come up by 1/8 of an inch. You come up by 1/8 of an inch on both sides of the dart leg. At the upper part you come up by 1/8 of an inch, both on the right side and on the left side, 1/8 of an inch. Then you join your dart leg with a curve to your front, to your center front. By the time you sew this dart, it comes out beautiful. So you connect it to the side seam as well. Connect it to the side seam as well, and that is what we have. That's our dart. Now to draw our crotch, you just draw a smooth curved line from your hip line to your crotch extension. Just draw something beautiful, and just a smooth curve like that, and that is the crotch extension. Then from that crotch extension you draw a straight line to your hem line. You draw a straight line downward like that, and from that line you come in by half of an inch, 1/2 of an inch. Then you redraw the line. You redraw the line. And that same thing is what you do at the side seam. At the side seam you come in by half of an inch also, and you redraw the line using your curved ruler. And basically that is all we have. That is the front of our pants. That is the front of our pants. It's so easy once you get the concept. Let's draft the back. So what I did is to transfer my front pattern. I made a duplicate of it so that I can use it to draft the back. So this is it. I used a lighter pen on some areas so that it won't so that you get it won't confuse you, since I don't have another color of marker with me presently. So this is the first thing is to work on the waist, and here I divided the hip by 16, and I minus 1/4 of an inch from my answer. So that is what I marked on that waistline, and I will connect it down to my right line. So that is the slant line I just drew now. And then I will now extend that line upward. I will extend it upward by 1/4 of an inch. What will determine how to do this particular extension? It's the belly shape, that is the tummy shape of your client, and the body structure. So, and there is no hard and fast rule for that. You just have to keep sewing. It is experience that will teach you what to do at that point. For example, here I use 1/4 of an inch. For some clients, it might be 1.5 inches that you will need to use. So, but when it comes to fitting, you'll be able to adjust that part. But with time, you get to understand, or you get to know what to do per client. So the next thing is I extended my hip line and I extended my waistline, because I will need to do some adjustments at those points. The slant line I just drew now, that is my new back line. That is my new center back line. From the front hip line, I will come up by 3/4 of an inch and put the mark on the center back. And I will now draw a line from that point to the front hip line. That will be my new back hip line. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I'm changing the hip line now. So I came up from the front hip line by 3/4 of an inch. Then I now drew that line at that point. I now extended it to the hip line I had before, to the front hip line. That is my new hip line, and that is the hip line for the back. So on the back hip line, I will divide my hip by 4 and I will mark it on the line. Now if you want to add more hips to your hip, then you can add it at this point. But since I already added mine from the beginning, so I will not add anything. Now let's work on the waistline. From the back center back line that I drew and I went up, I will draw a line again to meet the front waistline, so that that will be my new hip my new waistline for the back now. So the new waistline for the back. Now on that line, I will divide my waist by 4 and I will add my dart width. From our measurements, we already have what our dart width will be. So I will add my dart width and I will connect that line from the waist to the hip. Now I must say at this point that if your back dart width is too large or is wide, that if your drop is like 9, 10, 11 or even more than 11, then one dart intake will be too much for it will be too bulky. Let me use the word bulky. It will be too bulky for the back. That means one dart will be too bulky. So in that case, you take 2 darts at the back. If you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. I will make another video to explain that intake for a pant and a skirt. so that you understand the dart intake. Now let's go back to our drafting. So from the hip line now, I went down to the hem line. I drew a line from the hip line to the hem line, and I'm trying to make the line as straight. You can make it curvy, especially from the waist to the hip, but not too curvy. So I'm just trying to repair the line, and this is what I have. So on the hem line, just as we did for the front, I came in by half of an inch, and I will draw a slight curved line at that point. I'll draw a slant curved line at that point, and that is for that side. So the next thing I'll do is to work on the crotch. At this point, just as we did for the front, I will divide my hip divided by 16. I will divide my hip by 16, and I will start from the front crotch extension. That is where I will mark again. So basically the back crotch is like the back crotch extension is almost times 2 of the front crotch extension. It's almost times 2 of the front crotch extension. So I'll just try to mark it, and I'll mark it a little below the front crotch. And from that point also, I will come straight to my hem line, and just as we did. Okay, I forgot at this point I was supposed to come down by 1/4 at that point. Yes, come down by 1/4 of an inch. So I have to redraw the crotch extension again. I have to redraw it just like that. Then at this point I will come in by half of an inch to draw the leg. And because I came down from my crotch extension by 1/4, that is 1/4 of an inch, then that means this leg, the back leg, is shorter now. So what I need to do is to measure the leg of my front leg of my shorts. Then I use that to extend. I had to extend the leg of my back pattern too, so that the legs will be equal. And I have to draw another hemline because of that extension. So that is that for the crochet extension. The next thing is, let's work on our dart. So to take my dart, all I need to do is to divide my waistline into two equal parts. So I will divide it into 2 equal parts, and I will draw a perpendicular line at the middle, and it is from that perpendicular line I will take my dart. Now, like I was explaining before, if your dart intake is large, then you can take 2 darts, meaning you divide your waistline into 3 and take 2 darts. The length of this dart I'm taking is half of my hip length. So since my hip length is 8, I will divide 8 into 2, and at that point, that is where my darts will be. And I will now divide my darts into 2 so that I can determine the width at the left side and at the right side. And I will come up from the waistline by 1/8 of an inch, just as I did for the front, and I will draw my dart leg. I'll make another video to show you or to explain the dart intake for a pant and a skirt. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do, and turn on the notification icon so that when I drop any of my videos, you will be the first to be notified. So I'm just trying to extend my dart leg and connect it to my waistline. Connect it to my waistline. So basically this is what it is. This is how to draft the back. If you have any question, don't forget to drop it. Just drop it in the comment section. I will make sure I attend to your questions, or if you have any clarification, if there is any topic you want me to cover on this channel, just drop it in the comments. So now I'm cutting out the pattern, and if it is a long trouser, all you need to add now is the leg. The upper part is basically like this. So with the knowledge of how to draft this shirt, you should be able to draft a long trouser. But if you want me to draft a long trouser, just drop your comment. Let me know in the comment section so that I will draft a long one. And if there's any other pattern or any other design you want me to teach, let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel today. If you have not subscribed, please do like and share this video. So that is the back. That's the back. And I will cut out the front also. So this is it. This is what we have: the front pattern and the back pattern. Front pattern and the back pattern. So that will be that. That will be all for this video. See you in my next video.